Later on. Now let's return to the protests in Hong Kong, and China's central government has backed the Hong Kong authorities to investigate what it called the criminal responsibility of violent offenders after pro-democracy protesters ransacked the territory's legislature. Beijing branded the demonstrators ultra-radicals and said they had trampled on the rule of law. Well, Kerry Allen is our China media analyst and has been looking at how the Hong Kong protests have been reflected in Chinese media today. So, first of all, what have you found when it comes to the newspapers? How are they reporting what's happening?
Well, they're completely different to, I mean, some of the striking images that we've seen, you know, in the international world, of these, you know, mass loads of police protesters out on the street. So in the newspapers today, I mean, basically, Hong Kong is regarded by mainland China as almost like a small region that belongs to it. So it's like a regional story. It's the equivalent here, for example, of, you know, something political happening in, say, Lincolnshire. So there's not a lot of coverage. It's not making front page news. So papers that would traditionally cover this, Global Times and Reference News, they particularly, you know, the front page is all about the Sino-US trade war, but People's Daily, which is the mouthpiece of the Chinese government, what this has on its front page today is a big picture of people in a formation which they literally spell out the words "I love Hong Kong" and, well, HK, and so and next to it, little caption which says 22 years old, happy birthday. So
that's it.
Yeah, basically, you know, talking about the anniversary yesterday of the handover from of Hong Kong from the UK to China.
OK, so that's the newspapers. What about television? Because we've seen some remarkable images in the last, well, 12 hours or so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these kind of images that we've seen, I mean, Nick Beake, like, out showing, you know, inside the Legislative Council, just like, you know, the ransacking, the graffiti everywhere. None of this is being shown in mainland China whatsoever. So what people are seeing instead is the press conference with Carrie Lam on a background that's not got anything, basically strongly condemning the protesters and saying that, you know, she will not condone violence. So this is footage from CCTV 13, which is the rolling news channel, basically, you know, like the BBC News channel in China. So this is what people are seeing.
I suspect not.
Okay. Well.
But, yeah. But that was it.
That was it. Yeah, people haven't seen anything beyond this. They haven't seen, you know, images of protesters and the big police movements as well, because what's been happening is the police have been Chinese people have been getting the impression from state media. I mean, bear in mind, China is one of the most tightly controlled media environments in the world, so the state controls everything. So they've been basically putting across the idea that that the police are being peaceful, they're not getting involved, and what they're seeing instead is hooliganism and vandalism in Hong Kong. So yeah, the idea that they're stepping back, you know, is reflected in mainland China, and you're not seeing what we saw last night, huge police presences with shields and batons.
What about social media? Has that managed to get these pictures out in any way?
Oh, well, so Chinese social media, a lot of terms become censored related to protests in general because the Communist Party doesn't like the idea that there's any kind of activism against laws that it supports, and it was very strongly supportive of this extradition bill that's been quite controversial. So, so what I noticed in the last 24 hours, the word Hong Kong has become censored. So if people search for Hong Kong, they won't see results from everybody. What they'll see instead are results from people with a blue V, which is kind of like a blue tick, and these are literally only media accounts that have been sanctioned by the government, approved, and official accounts like police departments and fire departments, for example.
Kerry, fascinating. We're out of time, but will you come back and talk to us one day about what you actually do? Because it's fascinating.
Yeah, of course.
Really good to talk to you. Kerry Allen, thank you very much.